What's up, guys? Just kind of woke up maybe about an hour ago and walked Dixie and getting the podcast ready. So my mornings aren't really that exciting. So it's hard because I know you guys, if I do vlog style, want to know what I do every day. And honestly, it's mostly editing stuff. So right now I'm editing the podcast. It is actually exporting, so it'll be up on SoundCloud. If you don't know, our podcast is called From the Ground Up, and you can find it on wherever you find podcasts, or you can find it on this channel. I have a whole playlist of all the videos. We have breeders on, live chats, stuff like that. So if you have any breeder in mind or anyone you might know that you'd like to hear on an interview, just let me know and I'll get in touch with them. Otherwise, after I do this, I'm gonna edit the video, so I'm not gonna bring you all along on that, but because it's super boring. But I'm gonna do some feeding today, so I'll definitely get some footage of doing that. Also, a good majority of my day is cleaning on Monday because after the podcast, we usually cook a big meal before the podcast and basically destroy the kitchen, and then this room's kind of filled with empty beer cans from the podcast, and you gotta clean those up. So that's a big part of my day as well. So there's definitely a few different ways that you can defrost your snake's prey, and I just do warm water, keep them in there. The pinkies will be done pretty much instantly. I mean, give it just a couple minutes, and then the medium rat, stuff like that, may take about 10 minutes. So what I do is I take out the small pinkies first and feed all the corn snakes, and then I'll take out the medium rat and the small mouse and stuff like that for all the pythons. I take that out after. So by the time I'm done feeding all the corn snakes, hopefully I'm able to give the bigger prey items to the bigger snakes and they'll be thawed out. Basically all I do is, it can be deceiving if you just touch the outside of the rodent, so I'll squeeze more in the middle of the rodent where it's the thickest and see if I get any cool temperature or anything like that. I would much rather have them for sure thawed out and take a little bit more time, be a little bit more patient, make sure that they're good to go, rather than obviously feed something frozen to your snake. So just do your due diligence. This isn't the only way to do it, but it's the way I do it. So here is our menu. These prey items are a little bit small for the snakes we're gonna be giving it to them. For the most part, just because like this guy right here, I just feel he's a little fat, so let's try to make him not fat. So just slowing down on the feeding. And then also during the winter, I do slow down feeding a little bit more than usual. Nothing crazy, but I mean, I like to get a seasonal, even if I'm not gonna brumate them, I like to get some type of seasonal change because the temperature in my room is gonna change whether I want it to or not. So, I mean, I'm gonna treat these guys like a little bit like there's a seasonal change, and when there's a seasonal change in the wild, you're just gonna have less available prey. So that's just my idea. Nothing is in stone, nothing is, you know, it's all just opinion based. That's how I feel like keeping my snakes, and that's pretty much it. That's all that really matters. As long as your snakes are healthy and doing good, then I think it's fine to, you know, maybe even experiment a little bit, especially with, you know, things I'm talking about with seasonal feeding. This guy is shy, so I'll probably just drop it in here. He definitely has more of a body structure that I'm looking for though. So I'm actually gonna give him another one because that's more appropriate size prey for him. As far as I like to go multiple pinkies rather than, you know, start going higher. So I'd rather give something 2 small pinkies than a small hopper mouse or something like that. That's just that is just a little bit of what I do. So, oh, this girl's mad. Not bad. I mean, I have a bunch that will feed off tongs. I mean, I know I'm using shitty pliers, but I need to buy tongs really bad. But most of them will feed off it. Some of them don't. I'll drop it in there if they don't want to eat off the tongs. That's fine. I don't know where this guy is at. Oh, there you are. I really like using these long paper towel rolls because it does get you a good gradient. You know, sometimes your hide is just on the heat spot. Sometimes the snake will move its hide and put it where it wants to be, but I want to give it a hide everywhere where there's a temperature gradient. I guess to avoid that, having no hide is one way to do it, but I don't like doing no hide. It just doesn't feel right for me, so I always have a hide in with my snakes. But I mean, corn snakes are always so easy to feed. It's very nice. This guy, let's see if we can get him to eat. So you just witnessed the first time that snake has eaten a regular pinky on its own. Usually I have to wash it off with Dawn dish soap to get the pinky scent off of it. So that's really great. So what I did is I started off with feeding him an anole tail, and then I made anole juice, or you can also put the pinky in the mouth of an anole and get those juices on there. That nasty saliva, for whatever reason, that seems to carry the most scent. So put it in the mouth, gave it to him, it worked, and then just gave him the pinky that's washed off with Dawn dish soap, make sure that all the soap's off of it. Do that worked. And then I tried a real pinky. He didn't take it a couple times, but he was taking the ones that were washed off with Dawn dish soap, and he just took one that's regular. So that is a proper transition of getting a baby who probably didn't feed for the first few months of its life, is obviously stunted in growth in comparison to the other ones. You're gonna have babies sometimes that don't wanna eat what you want them to eat. Sometimes you gotta adjust, but you gotta make a proper transition, and I'm just glad that happened right there. So who I have up next is the water python, and like I've said before, they are very food aggressive. So usually, I saw that she wasn't out. I like to peek into the enclosure first to see, make sure that they're not right there waiting for you, or else especially the water python will come out with their mouth open and ready to go. So you want to be a little bit shy, lead with the mouse, and then there you go. She's actually not as wasn't as crazy as she usually is, of course, but you get the point. Always lead with the mouse, not with your hand. Next up is the olive python. A lot of times, especially if I fed them right after I did the corn snakes, they would smell prey in the room, and they would certainly be up against their tubs ready for food, but it seems like they're all tucked away for now. Usually, especially with the carpet pythons, they're usually out, and what I'll do is just inch the tub open and then make sure to put the mouse up against the rack like this, so it gives me some space so the snake won't accidentally bite my hand instead of the mouse. It's just one way to ensure that neither of us get hurt during the process, and they're fed and everything's good. Come on. And then I mentioned it before, but I clean rather right after I feed the next day. So if you see dirty tubs, that's why, because cleaning day is after I feed. And that's pretty much it. So it is a little bit difficult for me to make vlogs again, just because, quite frankly, like I've said before, I'm not doing much snake stuff on the day-to-day. I don't like really doing feed videos, but if I'm able to give you some decent information that you can go home with as far as feeding your snakes, that's great. So that's really my idea here. It's not for you guys to see a snake strike a pinky. I mean, if we have snakes already, we've all seen that, and it's all just part of our life of keeping reptiles. And the fact is that from species to species, you know, feeding behaviors change and stuff like that. This is not stuff that is good across all species. You know, every species is different. There's even some individuals that are different, like you saw. Some of the corn snakes are really food aggressive and come out and get the prey and wrap it up a million times, and some of them you gotta leave it and then they'll eat it once you're gone. So, you know, everything's an individual. It's hard when, you know, you can give advice to a certain degree, but some snakes just don't follow the rules, and there's a lot of different things that can be taken, that have to be taken into account. And I think it's just the most important to observe your snake and work off with what you're observing yourself, and notice your snake's behavior and always pay attention to them. Care more about what they're doing than what you're doing, and kind of adapt to that. I mean, that's just how I keep. That's my opinion on it. Please, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and if you made it this far, you're on the team.